All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage rumors, behind the curtain, juicy drama. We also talk about superstar, contract negotiations, injuries, and anything like that. And from promotions from WWE to AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, and basically if it makes the professional wrestling news. Sorry, excuse me. We talk about it here on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Super awesome podcast. Make sure you check it out. So yeah, just gonna reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review, and we had we had our WWE NXT preview. Then we had our NXT No Mercy predictions, and now we're going to talk about Uncle Howdy's in-ring debut and analysis. So, overall, what you saw on Monday Night Raw, it was the main event. I felt like it was good. A lot of hit or miss in terms of scrutiny by wrestling fans. A lot of people thought it was maybe a little bit too. It wasn't as dominant as it should have been, and people are arguing that Bo Dallas was dominant in some times. But overall, I just feel like this situation is, this faction, it's pretty delicate. It's a delicate situation. Obviously, you have to get the fans behind it, and the fans are behind it. They were chanting Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy was pandering to the crowd. He, brought back a lot of, Bray Wyatt, kind of, nostalgic kind of stuff. And, so far the faction has been, for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm putting it at a 6. I'm putting it at a 6, but, obviously this is still pretty much young. The tapes and the promos about the videotapes, like, I'm getting a little like, I feel like, but then again, this could also, reflect on the creative genius that was Bray Wyatt. That obviously Bo Dallas is not Bray Wyatt. They're brothers, and not trying to throw shade at Bo Dallas. Or I'm not trying to be like, oh, you'll never be your brother or anything like that. Because I feel like he's an amazing superstar, and in his in-ring debut against Chad Gable, he was impressive. He was very impressive. He's been haven't really seen Bo Dallas wrestle in WWE in such a long time. Such a long time. I think since he was like one of the running mates for The Miz when he was with Curtis Axel, and I was like, kind of sucks that they did this to Bo. But now he's back as the leader of the Wyatt Sicks. You saw the Wyatt Sicks kind of help out, Bo Dallas as he was getting attacked by the American Maid. Ivy now even got in the mix. I was like, dude, that's crazy. What are you doing, girl? What are you doing? But the match was good. The match was good. Bo Dallas looked like he was in shape. Chad Gable, obviously, he's an amazing wrestler. He puts anybody over in terms of wrestling matches and stuff like that. It is almost October. It is almost October. Maybe this could possibly be a reason why they're kind of holding off on this a little bit. And also, being in terms of like Halloween, Halloween's going to be, in WWE. It's going to be one of the first, you're going to have Halloween Havoc on NXT, and then you're going to have them come to the USA Network, SmackDown. And then we're also going to see WWE Raw being absorbed by Netflix. Maybe they could possibly be waiting for more grittier, creepier, horrific content when they finally become under, Netflix's brand. Essentially you can have this guy who's, like Saw or like this, sick, sadistic guy. But overall, I'm like not entirely sure I like him as a babyface. I was kind of hoping he'd come in and just like piss everybody off, and people were, just scared of him, and like kind of like what you saw like with the Fiend when when he made his debut. Oh my God, everybody loved it. When he made his debut, I think it was SummerSlam. Against Finn Balor, and I thought the Demon was going to come out. That would have been badass, but he obviously he's not his brother. He's not his brother, but he's still an amazing talent. Like Bray Wyatt was, before he passed away. But overall, my Uncle Howdy faction, I still feel like it needs work. People are, I feel like criticizing it a little bit too much. It is what it is at this point. Obviously, a lot of kind of stuff going down on WWE Monday Night Raw. like the constant lingering of maybe the New Day break up, maybe they don't. This whole Terra Twins thing with the Judgment Day, will Sami Zayn and Jey Uso challenge McDonough and Balor for those tag team titles? And will Jey Uso finally get a singles run before this whole bloodline civil war things take place? This could, with SmackDown and Raw both being on the USA Network, maybe this could kind of be a way for WWE, Nick Aldis, and Adam Pearce to be like, you know what? At the same time, let's we can do cross promotional brands once again until the Netflix the whole Netflix thing airs January 1st, or I'm not too sure if it's exactly the first, but in January 2025. I think it'd be beneficial for the Wyatt Sicks to kind of maybe jump ship to SmackDown, kind of cause terror over there. Because after this whole Chad Gable thing, I honestly can't really think of him feuding with anybody else that would make the most sense. When he started feuding with Chad Gable, I was like, you know what? I'm not really big on this. When you saw the Wyatt family with Bray Wyatt make their debut, they automatically targeted the main star, John Cena, and then right off the bat. And then now that, he's kind of been targeting mid card Chad Gable, which is kind of sucks because I do love Chad Gable. And ultimately I do feel like he could be a WWE champion in the future, but he never really made that jump into the heavyweight, division like Bray did. So they're definitely handling this Bo Dallas, in-ring debut, just they're kind of playing it by ear. You know what I mean? Taking baby steps, which is the right thing to do, 1,010%. The fans are, they get a kick out of it because, like I said, it is Bray Wyatt-esque. You get that horror movie film, and I feel like it could be big. It's going to be bigger. I'm almost guaranteed that this faction will probably pop off when you see WWE Raw go to Netflix, is because they can do more grittier content. Not too much in the PG kind of, PG 13-ish kind of, you know, boundary lines, I guess you can say. But and then it's new American made faction. I feel like I like it. I like it. It just sucks because the moment that they've decided to team up together, the Creed brothers, I kind of knew. I was like, oh great, like now we don't really get to see these guys live up to more full of their potential. Now you kind of see a skid right now, but Chad Gable is not done with Uncle Howdy. He's not done with Uncle Howdy. This could probably run until probably till after September. But overall, I love Bo Dallas. I love the whole Bray Wyatt was one of my favorite wrestlers. He's a creative mind. He's a creative mind that will never ever be duplicated in the world of professional wrestling. He was a genius. He knew how to get the crowd, to sink their teeth into what they were kind of broadcasting in the ring on promos, backstage interviews, and when they actually did have their own, besides the videotapes. Like I thought, Bray Wyatt, kind of did it better. Obviously, not comparing the two; that would be highly disrespectful. But like I said, I think it can only get better. It could only get better. And I'm not too sure if WWE Raw is going to be a 3-hour show on Netflix. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't, continue being a 3-hour show. I just, it would be kind of crazy to see Uncle Howdy, feud with people on Monday Night Raw. Imagine him going after somebody like, Jey Uso, or somebody like Damian Priest, or maybe, he sees how the Judgment Day has been acting and they decide to put them in their place, which would be pretty badass. I would have rather saw the Judgment Day feud with Uncle Howdy before the American Made. You know what I mean? But of course, can't always get what you want. Chad Gable was a great start because he's, such a phenomenal wrestler. Kind of be a great way for, be like, all right, for Bo Dallas, he'll come back and then he gets to work with Chad. And Chad knows exactly what he's doing inside the ring, inside and out. And, it was maybe like maybe a test for Bo Dallas to, kind of become, kind of used to being in the ropes a little bit. You saw him in the match. He was insane. He was fast. He was quick. He was agile. He, at times he was messing around a little bit. He brought back the whole dancing thing that Bray did. I thought that was funny. I thought that was actually kind of super cool. And, but these guys aren't scary. Like they're not that scary enough. Like kind of like the Wyatts, kind of like how they did it. But right now, they just don't. I don't know. They just don't scare people. And like when you saw the Wyatt Sicks debut as well, not Uncle Howdy, but when you saw them debut like 2, 3 weeks ago, the faction wasn't as dominant as I kind of thought they were going to be. They hung into the match. They ultimately, obviously they won, but it wasn't as much of a holy S word kind of moment. You know what I mean? And I feel like for this faction to work, they need to have moments like that. They need to push the button a little bit. They need to push, reality and also, fiction. They need to blur those lines, kind of like what Triple H said. What makes for an amazing WWE WrestleMania 40 main event. But overall, I can't really be too skeptical. I guess that's my overall analysis. Is just kind of simmer down a little bit. It can only get better. And, you bet your ass, when WWE Raw goes to Netflix, they have to make this faction work. They have to. You have that horror movie kind of feel that people love so damn much, and you're going to be appealing to such new niche audiences. And, they kind of have to step up their game. They have to step up their game in terms of cutting promos. Because, like I said, I like the tapes, but I'm not too huge on them. Honestly, kind of had higher hopes for the promos and stuff like that. But overall, I feel like it's just gonna take time. It's just gonna take time. All right, so we talked about Uncle Howdy's in-ring debut and analysis, and now we're gonna talk about every single Tuesday we do this. Climb into my DeLorean, gun it to 88, and we hit up my Tuesdays today in wrestling history on this date. August 27th, we go back in time, talk about WWE or just wrestling moments that kicked ass, talk about birthdays, and we're going to talk about, obviously wrestlers who tragically passed away. So, yeah, do not go anywhere.